Okay, so this brings us to the Lachlan Giles match. I was gonna go in. I was debating whether or not I was just gonna pass his guard and finish him, or if I was gonna go in and heel hook him because he leg locked Kanan and Patrick right before he competed against me. So I was like, am I gonna heel hook him just to prove a point, or am I just gonna go in and just crush him and take his back? And I decided to just beat him as easily as possible, which the easiest way was to pass his guard. But I should have just leg locked him. Going back and thinking about it. So let's take a look at some battles here. So he comes out. He just heel hooked Kanan and Patrick. He sits to guard.
And Ali.
Not Ali yet. Ali was after. He goes right into an inversion and he locks his hands around my leg. So now, whoever is going to win this battle is completely contingent upon knee position. Okay, so right now I have a V grip on his ankle to keep him from using a pendulum forward with his right leg. What I don't want from this position is for him to have a free right leg to pendulum forward to hit a Kazushi, to get my weight going forward, and then bringing my right knee off the floor to be able to go in and attack my legs. So what I'm trying to do from here is to lift his hip to get his knee outside of my hip. Right now his knee dominates the inside position relative to my hip. Heel hook grip in first, and then as you go to roll out, he just puts his legs into place and then finishes you. But if you go to roll out of a heel hook and your knee is not trapped, I have an opportunity to heel hook him myself. So his whole thing from here is to try to put a heel hook grip in, elicit a roll from me, and then shoot his leg into an actual 50-50 to trap my knee. And as I'm rolling, break me. But I'm not an idiot, so I didn't fall for it. He put the grip in, which is fine because I have his elbow. So there's no way he can ever break me. He can't extend his body because I have a grip on his arm. I'm not going to roll from here. If I rolled from here, he would have broken me, but again, I'm not an idiot. So I just grab his hands, grab his elbow, and slip the heel very easily. And then I just pummel my feet to the inside position and disengage the legs. And I'm like, okay, now I'm going to pass him. I knew he was going to try to sit up again and invert into my legs. So I hit a nicely timed, opportunistic underhook from here. So you notice that as Lachlan goes to sit up, you see his hands are posted on the floor. The second I see his hands posted on the floor, that means his elbows are away from his body, and I can just shoot right into an underhook. Boom. And now I have upper body position. Now, I already passed his top leg from half guard. I have to pass his bottom leg now. So my left hand works on passing his bottom leg. And now I essentially have him controlled. I have his top leg beat. And now, see that crucial adjustment? Is something that you'd never see if I didn't just explain it to you. Right now, Lachlan is dominating the inside elbow position relative to my left knee. So his right elbow is inside of my left knee, so I don't have full control over his bottom leg. So what I do is I go up to a crossface, and I use the crossface, boom, here, to make him address the crossface with his hands. When his hands address the crossface and go to clear by pushing my arm up and over his head, he exposes the space between his rib cage and his elbow. And this gives me the inside knee position relative to his elbow. So now a knee elbow escape for him becomes impossible. So I'm incrementally working my way to inside position. Okay, just like we talked about in the passing instructional. We have to incrementally fight our hands and then lower body to the inside position to pin our partner's shoulders and hips, or shoulders and head. And this is a perfect example right here. I forced a half guard. I got past his top leg and his bottom leg. And now I have inside knee position. Now the question is, how do I fight the inside hand position? So you see, I do a little trick here where he has a 2-on-1, and I'm raising and lowering my pinky knuckle to pommel my hand out. We'll go over more of that later. You see he's doing a relatively good job of keeping everything inside, but there's no Kazushi from here from bottom position. There's no off balances. It's just a matter of time until I start flattening him out. And you see now he's completely flattened. And now I have a good grip on the upper body. So you see, when Lachlan reclaimed inside elbow position, I immediately changed my strategy. So he starts to claim inside elbow position. I'm focusing on getting up to his, inside position with my right hand to get an underhook. So because he takes inside knee position or inside elbow position, I blade my hips down and I take my my left leg down to his right leg, and I scissor my two legs. So essentially, what this does is it stops him from inverting his knee. Okay, we'll go over this in a second. In order for him to escape, he has to be able to invert the right knee, and if my knee is wedged underneath it, he can't do that. And now I have full upper body inside position. Now I have full upper body and lower body inside position. But he still has the inside elbow. So he still has a right elbow inside. Doing a good job keeping a sticky hook with his right leg, and then I hip switch past. But Lachlan, because he had the inside knee and the elbow, he did a good job of playing a side guard, actually. So I have the upper body inside position, but he does a good job of keeping his right knee, his right elbow connected, so I can never actually pass clean into side control. So when I see this happening, what I need to do now is to switch from a top, head, and arm to a different grip. I need to start taking my lower back, or my left hand over the back of his head and switching my right hand from an underhook into a position where I can block his hips. And then what I wanted to do was circle to north-south. So what I wanted to do was left hand goes over the back, right hand starts blocking the hips, like so. Now, if he would have stayed flat on his back, I would have passed to north-south, but he didn't. He inverted instead. But as he inverted, I caught his back with my right hand so he couldn't throw his hips down, and he was stuck in a stack position, called the plow. Now, as he goes to invert, I pin a leg immediately. So my right leg comes in, and now his leg is pinned. So he's forced into this fully inverted position. Now you're going to notice I pommel my right hand to the inside position. As my right hand comes to the inside position, my left hand brings my head to the inside position relative to his leg. So my knee's in the inside position. My right hand comes to the inside position. My left hand feeds his leg outside my head so that my head's in the inside position. So incrementally fighting your way to inside position. Now I'm going to make a pass off. My right leg's pinning his leg down. My left leg is going to step inside of his leg as my right leg releases his leg so that my two legs are inside of his legs. I'm fully in north-south. And now I'm essentially past his legs. All that he can do now is hold me off with his hands, which is very inefficient. What he needs to do, he's trying to fight from outside position to high leg over with his right leg inside of my armpit/hip. But because my right hip is bladed down, the right side of my body is closer to the floor than my left side, and I'm on an angle, he can't insert his feet inside. What he has to start doing is trying to take his knees inside of my shoulders, which he didn't even try to do, but that's what he should have been doing. But I would have countered that by dropping my shoulders onto his hip. So from here, now he's just pushing me with his hands, essentially. His legs are completely out of the equation because I stole all the inside position. He's pushing me with his hands, and now he's passed. I'm passing to north-south. Now I take my elbow across, and we're in side control. Okay? So let's just play that back a little bit from half guard. And we'll take a look at 50 seconds. And let's look at that. Let's look at the initial leg entanglements and the pass, and then we'll go from there. All right, so now we're going to look at the analysis of the first part of the match with me and Lachlan up until the guard pass. Right, I have the laptop with me right here, so I can actually reference the match as we go on, because there's a lot of intricate movements with the leg locking positions and a lot of footwork exchanges. So I want to make sure that that we have everything correctly mapped out. So first things first is we come into position, and he takes an outside De La Riva, I take an inside foot. He goes an outside De La Riva and he scoops through like so, and I drop to a knee, down like this. Now, as he goes to pendulum over with this leg, I immediately V-grip, and he takes his foot from outside position to inside foot and knee position as I drop my knee to the floor. Okay? Now, what I don't want is for him to pendulum this leg or use it to push on my chest to start getting my knee off the floor where he can start to invert. So initially, I pin his foot down to the floor. I'm in good position. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to lift his knee / hip up to get me back to a position where I can outflank him and create back exposure or passing opportunities. Lachlan's smart and knows this, so he keeps a good push with the leg and a good pull with the hands. When I try to move his knee out of position, it's very difficult. So eventually I'm like, okay, well, if he's not going to move, he's going to enter into my legs, I may as well just let him. So I just take the hand off and uses a pendulum and then a push on my chest to get my weight off my right leg and starts entering in. He throws this leg up and over. Once he throws this leg up and over, let's see what he does here. So he goes up and over my leg and starts to invert belly down. As he goes to invert belly down, I immediately start to sit and look to expose his back. But because of the leg position, his legs are in the way and I can't actually get to his back. So now, he falls across the body, and we end up in a position like so. Where now, I don't really have an attack on him because we're not in a full 50-50 because his knee's in the floor, so I need to regather his knee. As this happens, I'm V-gripping, trying to get this second top leg out of the way, and pommel my hands to the inside, or pommel my feet to the inside, and clear this sticky grip that he has so I can extract my leg. As I do that, I successfully get this leg out, and then he switches, makes an intelligent decision to switch to the opposite leg. As he switches, he goes to a figure 4. He throws his leg up and over. Good. And now from here, we're in a position like so. As he goes to play from here, he takes his leg off. I start grabbing. And now he goes to a stretch ashi, where he extends my leg out like so, and starts to throw his leg up and over. And I'm just trying to get my legs out like so, trying to create a position where I can expose his back or what have you. He does a good job of keeping a sticky grip on my leg, and I start to come up and turtle. So I turn in this direction. I put my hands on the floor, and I put a V grip in on his ankle. He now feeds across the 50-50 and wants to put a heel hook grip in. So I know this, so I'm just going to rotate and start to pull his legs up and towards me. So now he has a grip on my legs, but I also have a grip on his. From this position, I start to make a transition where I feed his leg across. I have a V grip here, and I start to feed to an Achilles grip, so I can climb to an outside Ashigarami. At this point, I'm pretty much fed up with trying to just extract my legs, and I'm like, all right, I'm just going to leg lock this guy, or at least threaten his legs so I can disengage my legs and just get on top of him, and I pull him into position. As I start to start attacking his legs, I go in to attack his legs. He manages to separate my legs. So he high legs over. Does a good job defensively. goes to separate my legs. He rolls completely belly down, like so, without a heel hook grip. Let's move this way. He rolls completely belly down, trying to expose my heel. So I move into a position where I'm fully inverted. He goes to feet to 50-50 to try to put a heel hook grip in, and again, I just roll out. So once we're in 50-50, he does a good job of getting his knee to the floor. So we're in this position where it's not really 50-50, he doesn't really have any attacks on my leg. He takes this leg up and over. My legs are crossed, and he's trying to go into attacks on me. Now, from this position, Lachlan's whole thing is to not really have your knee trapped. So your knee will feel like you're almost free. He'll put a grip in on a heel hook, and he'll start putting pressure on it, trying to bait guys into rolling. Okay? A lot of the things that what Lachlan does is he puts a grip in on the heel first. And then when guys roll, they panic, they start to roll, then he climbs the leg, and as you're rolling, then you go deeper in and you get broken. But I know that from 50-50, it's almost impossible to get broken if you just know what you're doing. Notice, if you reference the match, I always have a grip here on his elbow. So he separates my legs, and then he locks his hands, and then as he goes to finish me, I just pull the elbow, and the heel slips right off. And then I relock my legs, and now I'm safe again. If I was to roll in this direction, this is what he did to Kanan and Gaudio. He didn't have their knees trapped. And then as they went to roll, he trapped the knee, and now you're getting broken. Let's say that I'm in a cross hashigurami. My knee's not trapped. Here, it's hard for me to access the hands. So if I feel like she's putting heat on me, I can't just roll. She just opens her legs, and I just fall right into a break. If I ever see I'm in this position, and she goes to put heat on me, but my knee's not really trapped, all I have to do is just simply bring my knee to the floor. I just V-post on the knee, and when she goes to break me, now when she goes to climb the leg, she can't. Because my knee's free, there's no pressure on my leg. I palm my feet to the inside position. So you have to know when rolling is a good option, and rolling is not a good option. For Lachlan, most of the time he baits you into rolling and then throws his leg into play second. But again, I'm not an idiot, so I didn't fall for that. I had my hand on his elbow the whole time, so as he would go in to break me, just slip the heel easily and relock my legs. So after he goes to get a grip, he gets it. I easily slip the heel. And now he tries to regrip. I V-grip this leg and start fall back. I start pushing out like so. I take a second leg, two knees together, and I push his hamstring, and now my legs are free. This is just what I wanted the whole time. I just wanted to get up and pass his guard. So now something very interesting happens. We start playing here. I get up. Lachlan goes to put his hands on the floor and sit up like so to re-enter my legs. But from this position, because he posted his hands on the floor to get up, there's space between the elbows and the rib cage. So I use an opportunistic tight waist, and I just shot right into half guard. So as he went to go get up, I just came in right here and immediately forced him into half guard with control of an underhook, which I eventually turned into a tight waist so he couldn't scoot out and away from me. Now, Lachlan was doing a good job initially of keeping his shoulders off the floor and keeping an inside position with both of his hands, like so. So now he has inside elbow position relative to my knee. What I need to do is I need to flatten him out and get inside knee position relative to his right elbow. So I have to get my left knee inside the elbow. So I was trying to palm my hands inside. He was doing a good job. I was trying to play down here. And then from here, I came in and I got to a cross face. Now Lachlan, in order to clear this, he has to take two of his hands, V-grip my hand, and now elevate as he tucks the chin, and now he's inside my crossface. The issue is, in order for him to clear the crossface, he has to separate his right elbow from his body. And as he does that, I play a dilemma. He either lets me crossface him and flatten him out, or he addresses the crossface, and as his elbow rises, he gives me inside knee position. And now when he goes to knee elbow escape, there's no knee elbow escape anymore. Okay? Now, as I flatten him out, I get to a crossface and an underhook. Okay, basically I don't have to do any hand pommeling here. He basically just lets me get to a crossface and underhook when I flatten him out. Now, I dominate the lower body inside position. So what I do a good job of is fighting my foot to the inside position. Before I fight my foot to the inside position, what he was trying to do was scoot his hips out and away. Because initially, I had a tight waist on him. Here. I had a tight waist and he couldn't move his hips. But when I moved to a top head and arm, he was trying to scoot his hips away and invert the left knee, or the right knee. So notice, in order for her to escape, right now her knee points somewhat up towards the ceiling. In order for her to escape, she has to invert the right knee so that it points towards the floor, and now she can knee elbow escape and the knee can come inside. In order to do that, she has to move her hips out and away a little bit so that the knee can invert. So he was smart. He couldn't move his hips when I had a tight waist. But when I moved to a top head and arm, now his hips were more mobile. So he started to try to invert the right knee. So as a reaction to this, go back, I had inside knee position, like so, and now I had to eventually move to a butterfly hook. But the problem is, to move to a butterfly hook, my leg has to relinquish, I have to relinquish inside knee position relative to his elbow. So if I want to pommel my own butterfly hook in, my leg has to come away from the rib cage, and now I can come into place. The issue with this is, if she puts an elbow inside my knee now, scoots away, inverts the knee, now she has the inside knee position, and now she can re-guard. So, as he went to go scoot away, my reaction was this. Go back. I would drop my left hip, and now I walk back towards my partner's center line. So as she goes to move her hips away, I follow the hips. And now, as I bring my left knee to my chest, I extend my right leg. So this tension, I'm scissoring my legs. When she goes to invert the right knee now, there's a wedge between her knee and the floor. So now there's no knee elbow escape. Now when she goes to move around, she can't move the hips. She can't invert the knee. So yes, she does have inside elbow position, but she can't invert the knee to actually knee elbow escape. So as I prevented him from going into the elbow escape, I came forward and pommeled my butterfly hook in. Now to his credit, he realized that he still had one piece of inside position, the right elbow. So he pommeled the butterfly hook in. Well, I guess he has two pieces of inside position. He had the butterfly hook at the lower body, and he had the elbow at the upper body. Okay. Even though I was dominating most of the inside real estate, he still managed not to get past because he wasn't completely outclassed in the battle for inside position. From here, he had a good sticky hook with his right leg. So it's hard for me to free my leg, so I'm kipping. Eventually, he came free. Now, he had a weak butterfly hook, so I easily hip switch past his butterfly hook. But the issue is, because he was dominating the inside position with his elbow, the second I hip switched, he immediately played a side guard, where his right knee connected to his right elbow. So now, if I try to come forward and put pressure on him, it's impossible. So my goal from this position, if I feel like I can't get to a side control, is to move to a north-south. Okay? If I can't control the hips, I have to switch my hand position. So what I wanted to do was come over the head, in front of the hips, and then move to north-south by pinning his hip with my shoulder, like so. So that now, even if a side guard's in place, because I block the hip, the side guard becomes useless. When she goes to recover now, she can't. So that's what I wanted to do. Lachlan realized this. So as I started to go over the head and go in, he immediately started to go into an inversion. So he started turning towards me. Nope. Watch it one time. Turn towards me and then okay. So the second I started to do this, he immediately turned towards me, like so, and then went to go into an inversion. Yep, and tried to face me like so. All right. The second this happened, I immediately pinned an ankle with a V grip and blocked the hips from shooting forwards with my hand like so. Now, I dominated the inside position with my knee. I got my knee into the inside. I got my hand to the inside. His leg was up here by my head. I used a V grip on the leg to pommel my head to the inside. Right now her leg's on the inside. I pommeled my head to the inside like so. And now from here I came forward. I made a pass off. My right leg's inside, I pommel my left leg inside as well. And now, as my left hand comes inside, the second I let go of her ankle, it puts her hips flat on the floor. Now, he was trying to bring his right leg up and around to catch in, high leg over, and to invert internally inside my body and recover. I knew this was happening. So as the right leg came up, I just turned my hips down like so. So now, as he goes to bring the right leg in, it's impossible. If my hips are square, it's always easy to get the knee or the foot inside. So I made sure that my hips were bladed like so. This leg was coming up. Initially, I pinned this leg down. So when he tried to move around this leg, it was difficult. And then I punched my left hand inside. Now what Lachlan should have done, because his hands were on my hips still, what Lachlan should have done is made space with his hands, keep your knees up, to insert one knee inside of my shoulders, and then a second knee inside of my shoulders to reclaim inside position, and then he could have regarded, okay? But he didn't. He chose to go outside my body, which is a big mistake. And now from here I came forward, I controlled his hips, and from here he's passed. The good news about passing to north-south is it eliminates a cranial shift, okay? A cranial shift is when I get past my partner's legs, it's actually controlling the head. So at some point, if I'm passing my partner's guard, if I get past the legs and I'm on a body lock, for example, I have to make a shift to my partner's head, the cranial shift, where I actually move from the legs up to the head. If I do a Toreando, I throw my partner's legs by, I land in side control, I have to go from passing the legs to controlling the head. When you pass directly to north-south, you eliminate the cranial shift, which is one of the hardest parts of guard passing. You don't have to control your partner's head because you're the orientation of your bodies. You just have to control the hips. From here, once I passed him, he brought everything inside. And then from here, knees down, I just came through. I sat through, controlled his hips, walked to a cross face, and now I have him passed. Okay? So essentially, I'm not going to do the whole leg locking thing again because it's going to take, I have to rewatch it because that's so much exchanges. The passing, I can show you guys pretty easily from a different angle. From here, I had flattened him out. He had a butterfly hook in. So he realizes that if I dominate the upper body inside position, he has to dominate the lower body inside position. I pommel my own leg in. The issue with this is, from here, in order for me to pommel a butterfly hook in, I have to relinquish inside knee position. Okay? So he was trying to scoot his hips out in a way, and knee elbow escape. So I walked back towards the center line. I scissored my legs. So now, when he went to invert the knee, It's just so difficult from here. This allows me now to drive my knee forward to the hip and insert a butterfly hook. Now he has the inside elbow position, so that as I came forward, I hip switched, but I hip switched into a side guard. So now I'm going to crush him. It's impossible. I can't put any pressure on this guy. From here, I come around the head. I control the head with my one hand. I want it to go forward and block the hips. He turned towards me, like so, and then inverted, like so. I immediately pinned the ankle, controlled the hip. So if he tried to bring his hips down and put his lower back on the floor, it's just impossible. Now the whole thing again is about fighting back to inside position. How can I incrementally fight my limbs back to the inside? Knee comes inside, right hand comes inside. Head comes inside. Left leg pommels inside, like so. And now as the left hand comes in, and I take my foot off of her ankle, everything comes down. Now as he went to try to invert, the right leg came up, and we played from here for a few seconds. As he tried to re-guard, go ahead. It's just impossible. I make sure once my head and shoulders beat this knee, their knee doesn't come back in. Right now, my right shoulder has the inside position relative to her knees. If her knee comes inside my shoulder and collarbone, now she can re-guard. I have one leg beat. It's not getting back in. Once this leg is beat, it's not coming back in. Once I take this leg out and away, my head moves to the hip. So I play from here. She's trying to re-guard. I extend this leg out and away so that my head can block her hip. Now when she goes to bring her knee back in, it's impossible. And now from here, she brought everything inside. I dropped my hip, controlled her hips on both sides, and then went into a cross face for the win. All right, so that's everything up until the pass. Now let's go to the mount, the system for exposing limbs, and then finish.